Hey everyone, welcome to the Free Assange Vigil. My name is Steve Poikin, and I'm joined tonight by my co-hosts Misty Winston and Andrew Smith. We will be joined by organizer of the recent We Are All Assange event in Chicago, Eric Harvey. He'll be coming up shortly. And looking forward to that. But first, let me read through the numbers as they stand on. Oh, what the heck? That's even my fault. God damn it. Almost made it through. It's 4/20/2021, and here are the numbers. 3,780 days of illegal and arbitrary detention for Julian Assange. 741 days since the Wikileaks founder was trafficked from the Ecuadorian embassy after being sold to the U.S. and U.K. for a $4.2 billion IMF loan. It's been 105 days since District Judge and Concierge to the U.S. State Department, Vanessa Baraister, denied Julian Assange bail after 2 days prior ordering his release when the extradition case came to its initial end. It has been 1,404 days of federal incarceration for Reality Winner, who is locked up for absolutely no reason. I should back this up real quick. 740 days of political persecution for Oli Bini, which I feel like should come at a different spot. We'll talk about that later.
Chronological order.
1,335 days of inhumane detention for the alleged Vault 7 whistleblower Joshua Schultes. At least 918 of those days have been in special administrative measures. On the plus side, Chelsea Manning has been out of jail for 398 days, and Jeremy Hammond has been completely out of both prison and halfway house for 45 days. Here's hoping he gets through his tail successfully, and sometime a little less than 3 years down the road, we can legally have a conversation with him, because at the time being, he is not allowed to have any communication with anyone remotely anything like us.
Word. It's very true. There's a lot to talk about tonight, you guys.
We would rank as a bad influence. We would.
No.
Yeah, I know.
I find that hard to believe.
Wholesome. We're a joy to be around.
Seriously.
If you have ever seen live streaming footage of our events, you know
we're very proper.
Family-friendly fun is how I would.
Well-mannered. We're a fucking joy to be around. Really,
it's all like hugs and freaking like thunder.
Well, that's true though.
I know it is.
Yeah, that is kind of true actually. I mean, but we're also like assholes.
Freaking board games and card games and shit, and like the 25 minutes of downtime that we have when we're not like cranking out t-shirts and yeah.
Yeah.
You guys have no idea. Ask Garland Nixon.
We are actually a lot of fun, I think. I mean, I know I'm biased, but we are a lot of fun.
We are. I miss it.
It's true. It is. And I just, the amount of like shade and hate and freaking threats and outright bullshit and lies that just gets heaped onto like us individually and the organization as a whole goes to show you how dangerous actual truth is.
Yeah.
And honestly, man, Fiorella has taken crazy hits just for even giving a
by far
speech.
The worst.
Literally, like there was someone that posted a speech about her talking about the need for unity against the national security state, regardless of political ideology. And they're like, that's crazy right-wing conspiracy. And she's like, what? Yeah. Just watch the video.
Oh,
it's the craziest thing in the world.
It's depressing, frankly. And yeah, she gets shit on, dude. It's so like, it's not even close. I mean, Nico gets a lot of shit too. But Fiorella gets the most shit of anybody, I think, by far. I mean, It's really kind of apparent.
Dude, Fee gets shit for stuff that Pasta says.
Mhm.
Right.
Like,
Yes.
straight up, like, Pasta will make an argument. The Daily Beast will write a smear article about it and make it Fee's word.
About
Make
Fiorelli.
it about Fiorelli. You're like,
Well, that's just to make her more like angry and perturbed. And when you argue that point, it changes the whole focus of what the smear is even about.
well, it's because she's tiny and brown and female.
Mm-hmm.
She has more fire than almost
They don't-
anybody.
And she's fierce. She doesn't back down.
Yeah.
And that's, so they have to attack her more.
Well, and they don't they don't even come at Pasta that hard. Like, Pasta will get some
No.
crazy shit his way. I've seen it. But, like, at least online, like, in public, Fee gets it much worse. And, they don't come at Pasta like that. They certainly don't come at me like that. They don't, the fucking, like, when people take shots at us, it's nothing to the like degree of depravity and violence and just disgusting fucking nightmarish shit the Fee gets.
Yeah. It's not even close. I mean, I get some shit. It's not even close. And I get some shit.
Well, when you lead a group of activists down the streets of DC chanting "fuck the CIA," like they're going to throw a lot of shade at you.
That's true.
But
yeah, that's true.
we have a video update that Stella gave to the International Symposium of Parliamentarians the other day. This is from CN Live. It's about like 7 minutes long, but I'm sure we can pause it and talk about parts and stuff. So let me pull that up real quick.
Dude, anything's gonna be better than the video that Misty and I had to react to when we were on our live stream earlier.
Oh, that was a trap. We got trapped. That was a
For
trap.
real.
That was violence. I'd like to report a violence, please.
Mm-hmm.
I need a
Okay,
caseworker.
there.
Where's my caseworker? I need to report a violence. Ugh.
I
still can't get over that.
Wait, let's see. Are you?
We can bring it up later.
Can you see and hear us okay?
Eric, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we
Yes.
can hear you.
Oh, cool.
Cool. We were just about to play a video from Stella.
But we can hold off on that now that you've joined.
Yeah.
You are one of the people that helped organize the events out in Chicago. You're also a journalist yourself. So I just want to say I really appreciate you joining us.
Yeah. Thank you.
If you could give a little bit of an introduction for who you are and kind of how you got involved in Assange activism.
Oh, sure. Just right now, you'd like that, or are we waiting for other people?
Oh, no, right now.
No, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So
You just showed up, so automatically you're going to be put immediately on the spot. You have
Yeah.
no time to get used to what's going on and no time to warm up whatsoever. We need your entire life story this moment.
yeah, it's a dark life story, so I think I'll omit details. But no, I'm Eric Harvey. I organize the Chicago chapter of Assange Defense. How did I get involved? I really wasn't paying attention until the Benedict Cumberbatch movie came out, and my ex-wife took me. And I thought, well, this is a compelling story. And then for the next, I don't know how many years, I obsessed over it and actually looked into the factual, set of circumstances around him. In law school, I remember having not spent much time focusing on it in the weeks leading up to what happened in April 2019. And I saw the pictures. They broke my heart, that beard, that sort of decrepit appearance. And then kind of the law school skills and all of that. I went into journalism and then found this group, Assange Defense. And now I am here. Forgive me. I tend to work way too much and I'm exhausted. So I won't be.
No, you're in the right spot.
You're in the right,
for that.
you're in the right spot.
Yeah.
You're in the right place for that. We're all a little exhausted at this point.
Yeah. This is where like insomnia and giving a little bit too much of a fuck just
while trying to pretend like you don't give a fuck.
Right.
Sometimes,
Yeah.
Yeah, really, I pushed myself through sleepless nights with monsters, cigarettes, and Rage Against the Machine. So
I relate to that.
Yeah.
For real. Oh, goodness.
So you guys were outside of the British consulate in Chicago, is that right?
Yeah, unfortunately, we didn't draw much of a crowd as I had anticipated. Nathan, the head of the Courage Foundation, kind of let me know only a few days prior, and so I was just scrambling. But yeah, that consulate's a bit disappointing. It's embedded in a huge monolithic building, and I don't believe anyone has any idea what it is. But from the exterior or on the street, we did get interesting responses from passerby. The first of which was, "I can't believe you're doing this. He's a rapist," and some of the more positive which were people who had stopped, expressed interest, and had some sense of solidarity with us. But yeah, I mean, it was like getting a sort of cultural litmus test kind of thing, getting an idea what Chicagoans feel about this thing. So
Yeah, and they're very good at using, and that's the whole point of the rape charges, really. I mean, people talk about it all the time as if it's just a given, but to think that somebody like Julian Assange, who has pissed off the most powerful people on planet Earth, might get caught up in a smear campaign is some wild conspiracy theory. I mean, it's not like people can't be taken seriously, that can't imagine a world in which that's something that they would use against somebody like Julian Assange. And I'm very grateful for Nils Melzer, actually. We were going to talk about Nils later on in the show, but if it weren't for him, I don't know if we would be as far along as we are, because he really examined the case in Sweden and really kind of picked it apart and took all the evidence, and he just did a really good job of going through that and making it easier to debunk, really.
Yeah.
More clear cut.
What was it? Ray McGovern. Are you guys familiar with Ray McGovern? Yeah, Ray McGovern.
Yeah, he's like the show's like,
he's Grandpa Ray.
Uncle. Yeah.
I mean, if you've seen him recently in solidarity with Julian, he's grown a very, very large white person.
Do you see Andrew and Steve?
Oh, well, I see that. Yeah.
We've bearded
beards for Assange
with Ray McGovern there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's got the much nicer wizard-like beard.
He really does.
His ability to like prodigiously grow facial hair should be commended, I think, by like everyone. Yeah, very wonderful sentiment and jealousy-inducing.
Yes.
Beard locks, face tresses.
What I was going to say is Nils Melzer, Stefania Morizzi, and Ray McGovern have been involved in panels for the Milwaukee, Wisconsin chapter of Assange Defense, and commenting pretty poignantly on the kind of factual, all the bullshit in the rape thing. And then I don't know, they Ray has been very good on this topic too, and Stefania's pretty cool.
Stefania's awesome. Dude, she's a badass.
She's a fucking legend, man.
Yes.
Really is.
Yeah, she really is.
Like, has a just killer sense of humor too.
I've only ever chatted with her on Twitter messaging. I actually haven't seen the video from the panel she did for Assange Defense on this. I heard she has a very, very thick Italian accent. Mm-hmm. And I mentioned that's very charming. But I don't know. She's nice. She's very nice.
Yeah, she's amazing. She is a bulldog. Like, really. Like, she's like a journalist. Like, you know what I mean? Like the kind of journalist that I love. Like, she just goes for it. Relentless. I love it. I love her. She's great.
Will you read an article about basically the use of the word terrorism surrounding Julian Assange and Wikileaks, specifically from people like Joe Biden and Mike Pompeo and others? Do you want to talk about? I think it would be cool if you could talk about that a little bit.
Oh, me? Yeah, I guess. You're asking me, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So actually, that was what got me attention from actually people in Latin America and Germany and really all over the world. Neil Smeltzer at the beginning of January commended this piece I wrote, Debunking the Myth of Assange as Terrorist. And his kind of endorsement, I guess, kind of really integrated me into this whole movement. But the argument behind that is that against the backdrop of precedent between the two jurisdictions we're dealing with, the United Kingdom and the United States, there is a common denominator insofar as that terrorism is constituted by different types of violence, all of which are active or the facilitation of it. But these are types of violence that result in loss of life or things along those lines. And then when you look of, that precedent, I mean, I refer to like the highest profile case involving Abu Hamza, the man who set up by proxy a terrorist training camp in rural Oregon, Bly, Oregon, and then also provided, as they say, material aid to militants in the Taliban and things along those lines. And so in that piece, with precedent dealing in Abu Hamza, for example, and then the sort of black letter law around how statutory elements for terrorism include this type of violence, it's kind of awkward or even like entirely fallacious to be applying the kind of statutory framework of terrorism to Assange. Assange has done something very, very different from what a figure like Abu Hamza has done. He has not provided material aid in the same way. And when they were referring to material aid in the case of Abu Hamza, it was like providing support in real time, instructions as to how to kill hostages. He was over on the phone with militants in Yemen and providing instructions, and then also the actual financing of terrorist activity, I suppose. But when you look at Assange, right, it's just the publication of information, and people will claim that loss of human life occurred to the human assets mentioned in the unredacted cables. Not only is that problematic insofar as there is an arbitrary application of law around, Krypton did it. And actually, if you look at what Glenn Greenwald said in regard to why Assange ultimately released the unredacted cables, it was not, with the intent of malice. It actually was meant to expand awareness of these risks, who was mentioned in these cables and then possibly vulnerable, to the point that every newspaper in the world would have the information circulated. Well, at the time, Assange and WikiLeaks thought, well, Krypton, the 16 other organizations, now only the intelligence services all over the world have it. So really heightening awareness enough by releasing the unredacted was meant to mitigate the possibility of lethal fallout. And all in all, right, against the backdrop of, say, the Abu Hamza case, and then sort of statutory elements of violence in a way that is not reflective of what Assange has done, it is entirely stupid for Biden to say he's a high-tech terrorist, and that narrative to take on pretty monumental proportions. And then even though a terrorist act is not mentioned in the charges, it is still an underlying propagandistic sort of cultural ethos type thing that informs the way people approach Assange, or at least so much of America, and other areas of the world, obviously. But yeah, I mean, does that make any sense?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the result of a very calculated smear campaign on the part of 5 world governments, the intelligence services that run them, and a complicit, lazy, and scared to death media.
Mm-hmm. It's been a decade of this shit.
Yeah.
And they're very good at what they do. They know that repetition is key. They are very good at slow walking things. It's not all at once. It's not, this giant whatever. You know what I mean? They've just chipped away at his humanity, basically, over the course of a decade.
They've been able to draw all sorts of non-existent. I don't know. What do you fuck? I'm hearing an echo, and it's fucking with me.
Oh, is it all right if I smoke a cigarette while I'm on here?
Of course,
man.
Yeah.
All right, staring down the barrel of the cancer stick.
Yeah, no,
It's
good.
fine. Yeah.
At any rate, I basically fucking lost what I was gonna say. That echo fucked me off.
I don't remember.
No, lost it. Totally lost it.
I mean, I guess
I wasn't even paying attention to me, so it must not have been that important.
The other thing I wanted to point out is that even, former Secretary of Defense, I believe, Robert Gates once said, I think in the year or so following the release of the diplomatic cables, that the idea of WikiLeaks had caused significant damage, or loss of human life, right? Or that kind of damage was significantly, to quote him verbatim, significantly overwrought. And then studies of whether or not loss of human life occurred continue to reveal that really there has not been deaths.
I think Misty started that.
I hear an echo too now.
I think it's you, Misty. Mute for a second, see if it gets better.
Sorry about that.
Words, maybe? I don't hear an echo anymore, for sure.
Yeah, I think it's Misty picking it up.
Hello? Okay, yeah, I don't hear it
All
anymore.
right, what do I have to do, Sleepy?
Volume down a little bit, probably.
Yeah, pull your
Everything-
mic towards you a little bit. Probably help.
Doing it live, guys. Doing it live.
Yeah.
That particular one will pick up a cricket farting. So
Yeah.
Is it still echoing?
And it's omnidirectional.
No, it sounds much quieter now. I don't hear anything.
Are you sure?
I don't hear a. Wait, do I? Yeah, a little bit. Very, very low now. It's better.
So, I did want to ask, because you did go to law school, you said. In the court trial, they had talked about David Lee and the other person that released the book with the keys in it, and the U.S. prosecution was forced to admit that these other journalists published this classified information first. Under the way that they're using the Espionage Act, do you think that it opens those journalists up to prosecution now?
That is
Like
the
David Lee and the others?
That is the claim. There's something interesting to say. So the U.S. will observe the First Amendment, but then they will say it only applies to American citizens. And I guess what is happening with Assange then is claimed by them not to be unconstitutional, or at least that is the implied justification. But yes, I mean, that is something that would happen. It would be far easier to create this kind of havoc for journalists elsewhere in the world. David Lee, not being a U.S. citizen, might be vulnerable. I believe he was interviewed as, I can't remember, it was like a month ago or something, claiming he was very concerned about his safety. I don't know how I feel about that guy. But yeah, I mean, actually just yesterday, Mohammed El-Matsi from Sputnik was on an event for Assange Defense speaking on this. And actually, he's a far, far better resource for questions like this than I am, given that he has covered, I think he's the only journalist in the world who's covered every one of the hearings. But yeah, to answer your question in short, sorry, I'm a little verbose. Yes, it does create vulnerabilities, but I think it's really just sort of a global outside of the US type vulnerability.
Yeah, unfortunately, Mo's a little bit hard to get a hold of. And for right now, at least at this time of the day, it's 8 hours ahead of me in the
Yeah.
2:30 in the morning there in the UK. But yeah, no, Mo's background, it makes him particularly suited for the legal questions because he was involved in law before he became a journalist too, and also spent a long time as a court reporter because of that. So he's we love his coverage of it. I'm almost positive that Tarek Haddad has been at everyone too. I know that Gordon Dimmick, if not in the room, had video access. Kevin Gostola at least had video access for every minute of that. But I mean, did not take anything away from Mo, because Mo's a homie, like,
Yeah. We
but
love Mo.
yeah.
I'm
And he
actually,
does, like, his legal background makes him uniquely qualified in that regard.
And he's very good at explaining things. That's one of my favorite things about Mo. Like, he's very good at explaining.
Especially if you have 9 hours.
yeah. Oh,
True.
just to clarify something, I have not encountered the U.S. justifying explicitly what it is doing with Assange as saying he is not an American citizen, but the implied justification as to how it is not unconstitutional is that. But then actually, I talk to Mohammed on an almost daily basis. If you want me to ask him whether I can put him in touch with you more directly for questions like this, I will try to reach him, which seems to be fairly easy, usually between the hours of like 4 and 11 in the morning here in Chicago. So, but yeah, just to be explicit, because I don't want to come across as factually inaccurate about the first thing. But as far as Mo, yeah, probably figure out a way to get you in touch with him more easily.
Oh, I'll just text.
We can get
if
we can
it
get in touch with
comes down to
him.
it.
It's
Yeah.
just he's busy.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, he's been on several times. He's been on Steve's show. He's been on my show. I mean, he's
Yeah,
just
if it wasn't 2:30 in the morning, I'd wake him up just to put him on the show. Right, I did
put him on the spot right
Get him
now.
on speakerphone and be like, "Answer me law stuff, Mo," and then he'd be like, "I hate you."
There's
Yeah.
100% a cat behind me.
Question, and then he would circular breathe through the answer, and it would be fantastic. Yeah.
You have a cat there. Let me bring my dog into this. He's very much in solidarity with Julian. In fact, he has a little white facial hair. You'll see. Here, come here.
My cat is so ridiculous.
Oh.
Oh,
Aw.
This is Lou. He's blind. He's named after Lou Reed.
Okay.
no.
Okay.
He's far more of an authority on all matters Assange than I think most anyone in the world.
Andrew got jealous. He's gonna come back with a couple of raccoons. Hey, dude.
Yeah, you mentioned your cat. I thought I'd.
He really might come back with some raccoons.
You
It's a
really-
very
I know, it-
real possibility.
No bullshit.
Yeah, that's funny. I really kind of hope he does actually now at this point.
So I wasn't aware. Is this I mean, I'm fine if it's being recorded. Is it being recorded?
It's live.
It's going out live right now. It'll be uploaded
also,
after the fact.
He 100%
I told you
went and got a
about the fucking-
raccoon.
Yeah.
Oh, you have a pet raccoon?
He's an army.
Oh
God, they multiplied.
That's what they do, Sleepy.
That's what they do.
Oh,
Oh my God.
Yeah. But
I was joking about the army.
I'm gonna go put him back.
Wow.
is what I mean in your guys' understanding, is what I've said thus far in response to your questions consistent with what you understand to be the elements of the case? Just because I am very tired and I may have misspoken. I just want to make sure that I'm saying what is actually true.
No, I think. Oh no, we got another. Okay, is it pet time? All right, it's show and tell. It's show and tell time. I like it. I can dig it.
My friend who owns the property where the studio is one of the dogs that she's looking after, and he does not shut the fuck up when she leaves unless I break him in here.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So let me see. Your guys' names again?
What? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. What are your guys' names again?
I'm Misty. That's Steve. Andrew with the raccoon.
Yeah.
And then Sleepy Josh is the ones and twos guy.
Yeah.
You're Misty. I have followed you on Twitter for a while. Why can't I recall the name of your show right now?
Which one?
Right.
Whichever one that I happen to be following. One second. Let me pull you off.
Facts on the
She has
ground.
facts on the ground.
I have a new one that starts tomorrow.
Bitch with I can't wait, dude. I can't wait.
I'm so
I'm
excited.
glad that
I have
you
so
don't
much I want
like-
to talk about.
I'm glad that there's no like gender requirement.
No, of course
am.
not.
I
Everybody can
am,
bitch. It's
because
not a gender specific thing.
I know that you've been trying to we've been trying to schedule, and then you just came on Slow News Day, but that's because
It's 420. How can I miss that?
Oh my God, it is 420, isn't it?
It is 420. I'm like very tired.
Yeah, we did
I've been really high
we
all
did an
day.
Ask Me Anything on Slow News Day earlier, which is, if you guys that are watching right now, if you missed that, it's fantastic. But while the Chauvin verdict was coming out, we were live, so we got to break that news. Robbie Yeager, our friend, another financial disclosure scoop while we were live for that. I got to blow Nico's mind, who did not know that Snoop Dogg and Charles Koch are in business together now. But in regards to
You hurt his
cannabis,
feelings.
yeah. Yeah, it was
It sounds
a
like a
hell of
big
a little stream there.
That was a fun stream. That was a lot of fun.
The FOTG podcast.
Yeah, facts on the ground.
Yeah.
Yep, that's me.
I submitted some requests in terms of, I can't recall what it was, to work in some capacity with that podcast. Forgive me, I'm like time dilated beyond any sense of
You're
comprehension.
fine. Do you want us? Do you need to go? Like, do you want to go to bed? Like, I feel bad.
Right?
No.
Right. No,
Okay.
this seems like special administrative measures.
It
or
does kind
some
of.
shit.
Like, I'm starting to feel bad
Yeah.
about the fact that we're keeping you here when you could like be sleeping.
Came in totally unaware, don't know who any of the hosts are. I have no idea what the fuck's going on. What am I? This is Assange?
I'm not even sure if I'm like
Okay,
talking
dude,
like
yeah,
facts. Like,
No,
can
no.
you help me?
It's not that. No, it's that Action for Assange had sent me this message, and I actually wasn't sure who.
Yeah, that's the other show. That's
Yeah,
another show.
I mean, well, it's
The different
about
show.
all of us, but
someone named Andrew Z. Smith.
Yeah, that's me. That's
That's
that's-
Andrew.
Okay, I just haven't come face to face with you yet. All right.
yeah.
Yeah. We're like a little tangled web of
people who
misfits.
can explain the dynamics of the show incredibly well. That's who we are.
No, I mean, I could try to go to
Clearly.
bed with me. I will not be able to. I am very glad to be here. So
Well, we're very happy to have you here. I'm sorry that you're so tired. I mean, I get it. We get it. Don't worry. Like, don't feel bad. We totally understand. I just feel bad keeping you. Like, I could totally go to sleep right now too, dude. 100%.
Would you like to get into the Stella Morris clip?
Yeah, can we get into some stuff? Because there's so much to talk about, you guys. Can you stick around to do you want to talk about some shit with us? There's a lot of news and
no, I
craziness.
would like to. I would like
Okay.
to.
Anytime you want to bounce out, just tell us to shut the fuck up and you can bounce out. Yeah, but there's a lot to go over. So okay, Andrew, you're gonna play the whole Stella video? Is that what you're doing?
We can take breaks in between because there's there's a lot. Like it's
Yeah.
Make sure you put a check
There's
on
just a
the
lot to
share
get through.
audio.
got it. As it goes away.
Last Sunday was the 2-year anniversary of Julian's arrest and incarceration in Belmarsh. And there were protests and vigils on 5 continents, and the story was in the major UK newspapers. A double-decker bus was filled with people and draped with Free Assange. And it followed the path from Julian's arrest at the Ecuadorian embassy to Belmarsh prison, where Julian has been buried from public view for the past 2 years. If it weren't for Julian's calls with me and a limited number of people, he would have no idea what was going on, not only around the world, but just 50 yards from the cell that holds him. This is what a prison like Belmarsh is for, to seal you off, to make you feel that you are alone and forgotten to the world. Julian spends most of the hours of the day alone. When we speak, it's only 10 minutes at a time. Imagine being forced to communicate with your loved one in this way. Imagine having to explain to our children, Max, who's 2, and Gabriel, who's 3, why Daddy was speaking to them 1 second and then disappeared the next. Imagine telling them that their father wants to come home, but they won't let him yet. I don't know how to describe what I have had to witness. Terms such as monumental injustice, aberration come to mind. And I think of alluding to basic democratic principles and human rights. But all these are words that ultimately feel stale and abstract. I have not yet found the words for what we are going through. Julian is the most considerate, principled, and generous person I know. And what is being done to him is cruelty in its rawest form. Julian has spent 2 years in a high-security prison. The Obama administration decided not to charge Julian because Julian's conduct was no different to that of the rest of the press. Charging Julian would mean criminalizing journalism. Obama pardoned the alleged source, Chelsea Manning, who was free. The charges brought by Mike Pompeo and the Trump administration do just that. They criminalize journalism. To date, Julian has suffered severe punishment through process, surrounded by the worst murderers and drug dealers in Britain. He's in a prison where prisoners are killed through murder or suicide every few months. He faces 175 years, or however many life sentences, if you want to quantify. All this for publishing information of the highest political and historical interest. On the 4th of January, the lowest court in this country, the UK, blocked the extradition because the judge concluded that extraditing Julian to the brutal and inhumane treatment he would receive would inevitably kill him. The DOJ is appealing, and the High Court will decide in the coming weeks if and when the appeal is heard. A reversal of the decision to block extradition would mean a death sentence for Julian. This case should be understood with the urgency and importance of a capital case. The US government says it has the prerogative to decide what foreign press can publish about its abuses committed abroad. It is extending its criminal laws to the rest of the world to prosecute a publisher who has won the highest awards for journalism for doing his job, an Australian living and working in London, Paris, and Berlin, for a Europe-based publishing organization, a card-holding member of his press union whose allegiance is to the public. Let's pause and think about what the US case against Julian is actually saying. The US government is claiming that journalists all over the world have no freedom of expression rights and protections because they are not US citizens, that US criminal laws apply to them, but the First Amendment does not, even when they are in their own countries. If everything else was the same, if Julian was in London working for Wikileaks, but he had an American passport, then he might have a defense. But because of the single fact that he does not have an American passport, he doesn't. If the case would have been brought by any other country, it would have been immediately thrown out and publicly ridiculed. The case against Julian is the ultimate realization of Trump's America First policy. It has added an aggressive new dimension to American exceptionalism that removes our rights as non-Americans in our own countries and infringes our sovereignty. Reporters Without Borders and the National Union of Journalists in the UK have said that as long as Julian is in prison and faces extradition, the UK is not a safe place for journalists and publishers to work. The Trump administration advanced this perversion, and other countries will inevitably follow, leading to a global race to the bottom for freedom of expression. The effect of this extraterritorial discriminatory intrusion is to erode freedoms globally. So the far-reaching consequences of this case cannot be overstated. At the same time, the case is an embarrassment to all the governments involved. It is obvious to everyone that the UK and the US cannot advance their human rights and press freedom foreign policy agendas effectively with Julian in prison. Across the world, the detention of Julian is causing real harm right now, not just to him, but to human rights defenders everywhere, because the principle of press freedom is being hollowed out by its loudest proponents. For human rights abusers who are criticized by the West for incarcerating journalists, political dissidents, and human rights defenders, their answer is simple, immediate, and devastating. What about Assange? From Amnesty to the OSCE to the Council of Europe and the UN, the voices clamoring for Julian's release are strong and mutually reinforcing. They must grow louder and louder until there is nowhere for the UK, US, and Australian governments to turn. Those governments must constantly crash into this case, just like Saudi Arabia does with the Khashoggi assassination. It is too late for Khashoggi, but it is not too late for Julian. As lawmakers, you have unique avenues and powers at your disposal to press for Julian's release and call for an end to his persecution. I'd like to thank Richard Bergen for organizing the symposium, the cross-parliamentary groups in Australia, Germany, and the UK for the work they have already done to put an end to this, and to each of you individually and collectively for stepping up to save Julian's life and our collective freedoms.
It's hard to listen to her. You know? Anybody else? Like, that's hard to, it's hard. It's hard.
I appreciate her being as strong as she is about all
Yes.
Legit
Yes.
just said something to Sleepy about that, because you know this woman is raging pissed and constantly grieving every waking second of every day and double while she's asleep.
It draws
Yeah.
attention, I think, to how human this is. Which is
Well,
that it's
but she's forced to sound like staid and almost robotic, because if she sounds the way she wants to sound, everybody's going to be
They'll
like,
call her a kook
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
you know, she'll get slandered
Yeah,
and smeared. She's going to get slandered and smeared
like,
regardless.
It has to be
but
torture to do that.
yes.
But
Yes.
I mean, what I guess I was pointing at is there is a profound sadness here. But not to reflect on my interest in this, but my interest in this tends to be very human, which is that Assange is just not a journalist celebrating abstract principles behind expression. He is all about self-determination, and the idea of that embedded within democracy, as we at least understand it. People need access to information in order to contextualize themselves within the world and exercise their rights and exist as effective beings. That's very human and almost like capital E existential, right? In terms of, say, how the Sartrean existentialists opposed fascist obliteration of identity. It's like the same thing. So this sadness in her, like, it's not just journalism. This is human beings' right to self-determine. This is a very spiritual issue. He's not just a journalist. He's like a fucking human being who celebrates other human beings' right to be that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
So
And the chilling effect that prosecuting Julian brings is monumental, because you have mainstream journalists not even willing to cover WikiLeaks anymore.
You have independent journalists, independent media that won't cover it. It's it's a third rail. It is, and you see what happens to like all of us that do cover it, and how, you know, and it's not in any way, shape, or form deterred 99.9% of the people who've consistently covered this case. There have been a few that have fallen off or have needed to, like, you know, cash in their integrity for a GoFundMe because Antifa was coming at them. But, you know, for the most part, like, all solid.
Yeah. Yes. And it's growing. And also, I just checked the GoFundMe again. Okay, so I just started a GoFundMe, you guys. We're gonna get so they did billboards.
Holy crap, dude! Misty,
what?
Your billboard's gonna happen like before the end of the week, dude.
I know.
Are you kidding me? That's rad.
Dude, did you see? It's up to $712 already. I just posted it like an hour ago. And we're already and I could probably get like a decent billboard in a decent location. I'm gonna go like scouting. Like, as soon as I have like some available free time, I'm gonna go drive around Columbus and try to find like the best possible location that we can get for like a decent price. And I mean, dude, that's huge. If we can get something on 270 in Columbus, I'm telling you, Andrew's familiar with Columbus. He can back me up on this. A lot of people drive on 270 every single day. It's like the big loop-de-loop around Columbus. So yeah, that would be amazing. And like the way that it's going, I'm going to have to start making phone calls now, because we are going to be able to do this very, 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 very soon, it looks like, which is kind of amazing. And if we can do it in Columbus, then we can try it somewhere else.
I just dropped the link into all the chats into the Rock Fins. And,
yeah, good job, Andrew. Yeah, like it's I cannot believe how fast that has gone. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised because our people are amazing. I think that the people who get it, and everybody that can help is willing to help. You know.
Well, and I feel like this as a billboard too. That particular graphic. I mean, Bean did the other one as well.
I
He's
just
incredible.
contacted Bean to see if like should we do something new, or do you think that like just what you have behind you would be good?
I mean,
'cause I want to be smart about it.
I mean that for like if you're gonna park it in a neoliberal city,
which is Columbus,
right? I mean, look, if they've got the fucking attention spans of whatever is being pushed at them on the TV.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're still going to go with Orange Man bad, which they are, well, why not turn that
around on them?
Try and get them away from like, because I guarantee you nobody wants to die on the Russiagate Hill. Nobody wants to. Everybody knows it's bullshit. They know.
We could also be mindful too, though, if we're going to put it on 270. Yes, it's a neoliberal city, but then you're also getting a lot of people who are just traveling for work, a lot of truckers. So while it's a neoliberal city, like you're getting a lot, and it's the Midwest devastated by NAFTA.
Look,
they don't trust Democrats anymore.
It is Trump's war on press freedom.
Yeah, that's what I've been thinking.
I mean, and arguably, that's one of the things that you hear 99% of Trump voters bitch about in terms of how Donald Trump let them down. You know, he didn't pardon the right people, including Julian Assange. He gave way too much money to billionaires. And he was a vaccine salesman who was brokered settlements in Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Like those are the most of the complaints that you're hearing. I mean, we were on Union of the Unwanted last night. Most of those guys are coming like from a more right-leaning perspective, and everyone to a person has those and a handful of other complaints about Donald Trump, regardless of where they are politically at this point.
Yeah, we should definitely strategically place these, though. I think if we can raise, like, if we could
that
raise,
would be a great billboard in Chicago. It would be a great billboard in New York City, going into or out of DC, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Denver, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, and we have
the DC one. We need to be very thoughtful about. If we're ever going to do one in DC, like that needs to be very well thought out. And we have a bean. And we made the hashtag #wannabean the other day because
I saw that. That was adorable.
Yeah. So hashtag #wannabean. Somerset Bean is like the dopest graphics maker extraordinaire. Like seriously, so amazing. Yeah. So that's probably who will be designing the billboard, whether it's whatever's behind Steve or if we come up with something else.
Like hell to get a word in right now.
Oh no. I wanted to ask, I'm not familiar with what this GoFundMe is for.
Oh, we're going to put up billboards.
It's been
They've been doing
like
it in the UK. They've been doing it in London, being like what Steve's got behind him, but it's a different one. It's like a phone that has a collateral murder thing on it. They're putting up billboards, and I've talked about it for a while, but it's all, like, again, do I really need something else to do? And I guess I do now. So now we're doing it. So yeah, we're just getting I'm from Ohio, Columbus, Ohio. So we're gonna start there because everything in Ohio is pretty damn cheap, including billboards. So we'll start here, see if we can get one strategically placed. Because really just raising awareness is like a massive part of the battle, because so many people either don't know anything about Assange or only are vaguely aware of some deep state propaganda bullshit, decade-long smear campaign talking points that they've been force-fed through mainstream media. That's all they really know. So that's like a huge part of the battle. So I think if we can get some billboard strategically placed throughout the country, that would be a good way to get some conversations started. Maybe. I mean, we got to try everything at this point. Christ.
Well, if I can help in some way, that would be something I would be interested in helping with.
You can retweet. I have the links up. They can retweet it. Yeah. I mean, just getting eyes on it. It's going so fast. Like we're going to be able to get a billboard up very soon, actually.
Cool.
Like I'm actually a little panicked because I need to like make phone calls now. Like it's going to happen really fast. See, I just refreshed it again. It's up to $844 already.
That is impressive.
Yeah. Like we're halfway to like a lower end billboard in Columbus, Ohio right now already. That's great. That's amazing. Like I'm kind of giddy. And I don't do giddy really.
If for some reason they shut people out of sporting events again, I still want to do the cardboard cutouts of Julian Assange at like every major stadium.
Yeah, they're pretty cheap.
Yeah.
High stage them last year for like $20 or something.
Yeah, they're like they were anywhere from like $75 to $100 at professional sports.
Yeah.
So one of the things that Stella talked about was the experience that she has with her kids when they try to talk to Julian, the amount of time that they get. And I think that's something that more people now can relate to, that literally most of the Western world has been placed under house arrest. It's not to the same extent or to the same degree, but I feel like people are now waking up to realize the like excesses that state power has over their lives. And Julian's case highlights that, because it was, 3 years ago when UC Global wouldn't even really allow him to have visitors, when he wasn't allowed to communicate with friends and family members. And his lockdown essentially started around 2017, where they were taking away his internet regularly. So I feel like the levels of isolation that he's been under, while much more extreme than the general population, is much more relatable to people now, especially in the United Kingdom, who are still under mass house arrest.
It kind of reminds me of one of the more heartbreaking scenes within Mumia Abu-Jamal's Live from Death Row, when he first recounts a meeting with his daughter through plate glass, and after a cavity search and all the unnecessary procedures, taking him from a cell to a meeting room where he has no opportunity to arm himself or something, or even through the glass receive a weapon that he can take back in. And no, it's just the interaction between father and child, or family and family member. And then just the absurdity and just randomness of all of this. And I don't know if you guys know about Abu Jamal, but also a journalist, right? And also in even like an unprecedented terrible situation these days, given how poor his health has become. And just it draws attention to like the abusiveness of a place where we're led to believe no human rights abuses occur. So I guess what I'm getting at is like the implications of all of this, the consequences of what's going on, they're far more far-reaching than people appreciate. And I don't know if that made any sense.
No, it definitely does, because this case, the whole way through, the judges and the prosecution have treated it like a civil traffic case, essentially, like reading off the script for what you did, for what Julian did wrong, and saying, yep, guilty, what's next? And then passing it all the way up to the point that they accepted every argument put forth by the United States, right? It was only on human rights grounds that this entire process was rejected, on the entire rendition process to the U.S. And even that, as it stands, is shaky with the way that the U.S. is probably going to appeal it.
I still think it's funny that they say that they couldn't send him to the United States. There couldn't be an extradition because the United States prison system is so oppressive, and he's in such a poor state mental health wise that it just puts him too much at risk. But how do you think he got that way? Like, this is always fascinating to me. The reason he is in such a terrible place mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, is because of the conditions that they've been keeping him in. But they're continuing to keep him in them despite the fact that they ruled in his favor, and claiming that they can't send him to the US because it's too awful for it. It's just like this completely ridiculous backwards thinking.
Well, it's not about rule of law. It's not about
It's
what
punishment is
the right
process is
thing to
punishment.
do is, yes, the punishment is the process, but also he's got to serve as a warning,
Mm-hmm.
like for however long it takes to get people to stop reporting on the crimes of empire.
Yeah.
Right. They're not going to just destroy you. They're going to destroy your family. They're going to break you down, and they're going to fuck everything about your whole existence. And that's actually what's easily observed in Abu Jamal's story.
Well, and it's also real quick, you know, it's also easily observable in the fucking Stratfor emails. That's the goddamn plan.
Yep.
For
Julian told us what
Assange.
was going to happen to him, you know,
Over a decade ago. That's
he
the
told us straight up.
outline for how to go at Julian Assange. So go ahead.
Oh no, I mean whoever.
But I mean, it's absolutely fascinating that you phrase it that way, because it's in an email that we've shown on the show dozens of times that goes back to the global intelligence files released from WikiLeaks, from all of those.
It's amazing. Like, there's always a WikiLeaks. There really is always a WikiLeaks. You know, every time somebody's appointed to the cabinet, Biden's cabinet, there's a WikiLeaks for that. And he even, like, Julian told us exactly what was going to happen to him years ago, and everything that he said is coming true. I mean, they gave us their playbook. Well, they didn't give it to us. You know, he exposed their playbook, and that's what they're doing now. I mean, it even says, like, we're going to tie him up in court cases for 25 years or whatever it is.
Move him from courtroom to courtroom for 25 years. Go after his family. Go after his organization. Go after anyone remotely connected to him. Throw whores at him. Honeypot this guy. Whatever it takes.
Yep. And it's been proven time and time again. Look at what they're doing to Craig Murray. Look at what they're doing to Oli Bini.
Dude, just today, the goddamn Daily Bootlicker is going after Bealey again, and everyone else who has dared report accurately on the white helmets. Like the Daily Beast, picking up where the BBC left off, because Chloe, what's her name, got exposed as being a fucking asset. And like working directly with terror groups that are funded by the West, by the UK and the US. And little Chloe Hajimatow from BBC got fucking popped. And so now BBC can't go at the people that tell the truth about the white helmets for a little bit because they're in too much hot water. Belling can't do it because they've been belly caught, which is, you know, okay, Gray Zone. That's hilarious, dude.
That's like a dad joke. But
it is. And I think, well, I'm pretty sure Blumenthal like just became a dad, so no matter what, all his jokes are dad jokes. That's just how that fucking works. But big ups to Giannis Papas for allowing me to steal that. So somebody's got to pick up the slack, is what I'm trying to say. BBC4, BBC, Bellingcat, the outlets that have just so recently been fucking brought out into the daylight. And that's the Daily Beast. That's what they're there for. They make their bread and butter by smearing people who tell the truth. That's how they function. And so that's what they're doing now. Sorry, people come at my friends and I get a little fucking...
Yeah, I get it. Nope. Okay, so I feel actually, while we're talking about Vanessa Bailey, just quickly, I feel really bad because I dragged my stalkers. Somehow she got intertwined in that shit. And I always feel really bad when that happens. So, yeah.
If you see Bailey, like, chiming in...
Yes.
Because she wants to chime.
I know, but it's still, you know how awful those
like,
people are.
No, I want to kick this one. You know, that's why. Because I felt the same way, and I apologize. I did that. I just apologized to Ryan, T-Lab for. He's like, no, dude, I wanted to swing, bro. That's why I did it. You know, like, Hey, don't worry about me. That's where Bailey's at.
They're just awful. So I hate when anybody has to deal with them. So, but yeah. No, I know. Vanessa can handle herself, clearly.
I mean, dude, yeah.
She's Vanessa Bailey. Anyways, okay. So, what else did you want to do, Andrew? Do you want to talk about the press freedom rankings, or do you want to talk about the anti-protest bills?
We can do press freedom rankings first. Because actually,
press rankings?
Yeah.
I'll be back in one moment. Just getting water.
I'm going to screen share this up because it's actually something that I find kind of disturbing in a way. The press freedom rankings is loading up here for me. I'll screen share it.
Okay, while you're doing that, there's some tips that came in over on the Rockfin, and I should thank people for that. Sue Franklin Wallbrown, the Federation of Independent Media, love from Roar Media. Franklin, we love you, buddy, we do. And Hunter, and that's the first two people that threw super rays we were hanging out with last week. Like, well, almost. Josh and I were on the road at this point, but both Franklin and Hunter hung out at Convo House for a little bit. Mir, until this man is free, we are all Assange. A for A, keep holding it down. Thank you very, very, very much. Very generous. We love you guys. Yeah, and do you have that now? And is Josh set up for the screen share thingy too?
I'm just going to screen share it over. It should be good.
The last one worked fine.
Okay. I didn't know if it was like with the way Slow News Day is now. And
so you probably can't read it. I don't think Zoom in will do much because the way they formatted the webpage, but I'll try. So the United States got ranked up one, right, on the global press freedom tracker to 45th place. Exactly. That's
the UK. Didn't the UK go up two?
Yeah. So here's what they said. I'll read this out. The first 100 days of Joseph R. Biden's presidency saw healthy improvements to government accountability and transparency. For example, the White House and government agencies reinstated regular press briefings from day one, and authorities who had previously been muzzled were able to communicate accurate information about the COVID-19 pandemic to the American public. At his inauguration, Joe Biden vowed to uphold an environment of truth during his first major foreign policy speech. The new president made a point stating that a free press is essential to the health of a democracy, signaling his administration's desire to see the U.S. reclaim its global status as a beacon of free expression. As with any patient, however, while the most obvious symptoms of an ailing democracy may be cleared up, many chronic underlying conditions, from the disappearance of local news to the ongoing widespread distrust of mainstream media remain. In fact, the situation worsened considerably during President Trump's final year in office, which saw nearly 400 journalists assaulted and more than 130 detained. Unprecedented numbers, according to the U.S. Press Freedom Tracker, an RSF partner. Many of the 2020's attacks and arrests of members of the media took place when they tried to cover the nationwide protests against systemic racism and police brutality towards people of color. Trump himself vilified bona fide news outlets as fake news and qualified award-winning journalists as the enemy of the people, feeding the type of threatening behavior, including the violence and destruction of equipment and journalists faced during the uprising against U.S. Capitol building on January 6, 2021. As dozens of alleged insurgents face serious jail time for federal crimes, the erosion of trust in the American media and unchecked conspiracy theories that continue to flourish online will require a concerted effort by all, the public and private companies alike, to ensure press freedom at the U.S. runs more than just skin deep. And then that's two of the three paragraphs, and then this little bottom section mentions Assange. Do you want me to read that portion too, or no?
No, because it's just gonna piss me off.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. This is
like
ridiculous.
That reads like it. I mean, Jesus, dude, it's
painful. It's
Yes.
painful to.
It
to know what
reads
is
like
happening.
the fucking Biden White House wrote it.
Right.
Mhm.
Like it reads like a press
That's
release.
very possible.
Well, the last paragraph is the only one, and you have to. It doesn't even look like in the normal view that this scrolls down. Like I was shocked. But the Biden Department of Justice decision to pursue an appeal against the extradition decision by the UK court's case of WikiLeaks publisher Julian Assange resulted in his continued detention in high-security Belmarsh prison, where his mental and physical health remain at risk. If the U.S. government appeal is successful, Assange could face possible life in prison or in a U.S. prison for publishing information in the public interest.
Nothing about the implications on global press freedom. Nothing about the United States seeking international jurisdiction over the press, or the United States seeking to criminalize receiving or sharing classified information as a crime punishable under the Espionage Act. None of that. None of that. Nothing.
None of that.
None.
No.
Weird.
No.
Super weird.
No.
Well,
That is
you
weird.
know,
What are your thoughts on this?
Oh, actually, I'm just reflecting on something I recently wrote on that LA Progressive put up, is that, okay, Biden says this is essential to the health of a democracy, right? And this narrative that we are a democracy is alive and well and has been for a long time. But actually, it just makes me think, I don't know that people's kind of, what we're sold, that we're told is democracy, is actually the kind of democracy that Assange understands. And so when people say, you know, look at what Biden's doing, and it's very positive for democracy, and his point rises enough, maybe democracy isn't actually ruled by the people. And what I'm saying is, actually, if you look at the way democracy originated in like around 500 BCE in Greece, you know, 100 years later, Socrates, a dissident, very different in his understanding of self-determination and rule by the people. But democracy really hasn't always been ruled by the people. If you look at what was going on in ancient Greece, a small group of white adult men could vote, just adult Greeks. And that was, I think someone said 40% of the population. And then you look how, say, undocumented people are not brought into this process, or how at the beginning of our country, we had this issue of slavery, which just reproduced later on with the prison industrial complex, putting Black people in prison, and they're, you know, they're taken away, their rights are taken away. So actually, is democracy really ruled by the people? I don't believe it ever was. And so when Biden says this is good for what's going on with democracy, I wonder if our indignance in the framework of what we understand democracy to be is just not that it isn't rightfully or righteously distorted on our part. Really, our expectation of what this framework is, it's actually based on something that is just the product of our consuming propaganda about this liberty we have in this country. So I guess this draws my attention back to the ramifications are greater. Like this whole shitstorm draws attention to how illusory the rights we have in this country are. Does this make any sense? So
Yeah, you know, I mean, in the sense of demos, well, in the way that Plato described it in the Republic, in the 5 stages of government, it's mob rule. Democracy, demos of the people, small d, democracy is mob rule. And that's certainly not, I mean, anything that we have. But it is the next stage after oligarchy, which is what we have.
yeah, oh yes.
We certainly, and so you can kind of see where mob rule is going, based off of narrative management. But that's all that's the only kind of like small d democracy mob rule we'll ever see, I believe. It is based solely off of you know, where the narrative has driven people. In terms of anything approaching a representative republic, the marketing on that was past its sell-by date in the 1800s. And I mean, I don't know what the fuck people are trying to describe this as now. We're a goddamn branch office of the World Economic Forum. I mean, by Biden's own words, by Biden's cabinet's own words. You know, I don't know what the idea that there's a legislative path to this, or there's somehow like we'll be able to talk to our government officials about
and convince them to not be psychopaths.
3 different administrations picking up the persecution football on Julian Assange with a chance to spike it and take jurisdiction globally over the press while destroying investigative journalism, because that Computer Fraud and Abuse Act charge does just that in criminalizing source protection.
The most troubling part to me in this whole Reporters Without Borders ranking is the fact that COVID buries the lead, right? That even then, right, that like the government's putting out factual information, but doing nothing to stop corporations from mass censoring people on social media for reporting information that the World Health Organization and fucking Dr. Fauciism is now saying is accurate, that was reported years ago, but is now being, but those people have been removed, like the Whitney Webbs and the Last American Vagabonds, because they're giving out factual information that goes against the narrative. And that's not even mentioned in this global press freedom ranking.
Oh, it's so ridiculous. It really is. Like I couldn't even write this stuff. And it's so blatant and in your face too. It's like they don't even give a fuck anymore. They're just doing whatever they want.
Dr. Discourse threw a tip and says, keep up the good work, everyone. We demand press freedom. We reject the Trump-Biden war on journalism. And Dr. Discourse, Misty, says, to the bootlickers, buy a freaking plane.
Yeah. Dr. Discourse is amazing. He's been taking down a lot of my trolls lately, a lot of my stalkers, and it's so glorious to watch. It's so fun. It really is. It's a good time.
This is why there's like 1,100 mods on Slow News Day, so that, like I get to talk to the guests.
Yeah. I'm really terrible at that kind of stuff, but yeah, Dr. Discourse is like, there's some people on Twitter who are just fucking amazing. You know what I'm saying? And they have my back, and I appreciate that because I get a lot of shit, you guys. Ugh, it's exhausting. Anyway, not well with me. I'll deal with it. But I'm super pumped about this fundraiser, y'all. Already, like, can't even believe this is going so fast.
That's good shit. I'm really glad that there's going to be
$900 already, Misty. You're almost there.
Huh?
You broke $900. It's at $900.
I know. That's what I'm saying. We're over halfway to like a decent billboard.
Do you want to intro the state legislation against protesting stuff?
Oh, gosh, you guys. Okay. There are a shit ton of anti-protest bills right now happening all across the country. So it really kind of depends on what website you look at. There's a couple different, I guess, like statistics on this. Like one website said that as of April 19th, there were 93 bills in 35 states. And then on another website, it said that there have currently been 27 bills recently enacted, and there are 71 bills still pending. So it's across the country. Some of them are really, really terrible. A lot of them are not going to pass. But the fact that they are being pushed so pervasively across the country is troublesome for everybody. And a lot of them are passing. Like I said, the one website said that 27 have recently been enacted. So for example, right now in Ohio, Andrew and I are both in Ohio, there are 4 different anti-protest bills in Ohio currently right now. They just, Governor DeSantis just signed the one in Florida today, which is essentially, what is that one is, I have so many notes. What is it? Why don't I have it written down?
We
So
did
this
it.
one. Oh, is this one? I think it, God damn it. I hate it when I'm sorry. I've been, I'll be honest with you. I've just been really high all day.
No, we did something about this on Anonymous Bites Back last night, but it was also like midnight, and I'd been up since 4 o'clock in the morning. There you go.
Yeah.
Let me jump
That's
back.
Nevada. Okay. Yeah.
So there is 69, according to the tracker that you sent me, there's 69 different pieces of legislation. So I want to go through them state by state, not all the legislation, but we have 4 anti-protest bills in Alabama, 2 in Arizona, 1 in Arkansas, 1 in Connecticut, 1 in Georgia, 1 in Illinois, 1 in Indiana, 4 in Iowa, 1 in Maryland, 5 in Minnesota, 4 in Missouri, 1 in Montana, 1 in Nebraska, 1 in Nevada, 1 in New Hampshire, 3 in New Jersey, 1 in New York, 4 in North Carolina, 4 in Ohio, 12 in Oklahoma. So I don't know what the hell's happening in the cornfields. 1 in Oregon, 2 in Rhode Island, 1 in South Carolina, 2 in Tennessee, 4 in Texas, 1 in Washington State, or 2 in Washington State, and 1 in Wisconsin. That Oklahoma,
and they're all very different. Like, okay, so for example, in Minnesota, the one, it's authored by Senator David Osmek, I think is how you say his name. So essentially the one in Minnesota, if you are arrested and convicted for a charge that is protest related, then you will then be like banned from receiving any kind of like governmental funding, which is including like food stamps, student loans, rent assistance, unemployment. Like you are then banned from ever receiving that stuff again. And then there are other states where they're giving immunity to motorists and vehicles if they happen to run over people who are in a riot, which is now what they're calling it. And, you know, it's like there's different, they're going at it in different ways across different states. You know, if you block now they're making it illegal to block highways and roadways, which is
it already was.
Yeah, but that's like a huge part of protesting. I mean, that's been used forever to block roadways and shit. So yeah, it's like they're all going about it in different ways, but there are a ton of these. I really kind of want to like deep dive into them at some point, maybe.
Well, I have this one that I'll share. This is wording from a Nebraska bill that shows up.
Nevada
bill, sorry, that shows up across a bunch of states. And this is the words of the tracker, the way they break the bill down. The bill creates a new Class E felony offense for knowingly or intentionally providing material support with the intent that the support will be used for or will be used in or for an assembly to disturb the public peace, an unlawful assembly, a rout, or riot. Material support is broadly defined as including any financial, logistical, informational, or other support or assistance, such that someone who gives directions to someone in a 3-person unlawful assembly could face felony charges. The bill would expand Nevada's racketeering law to cover racketeering activities in furtherance of the assembly to disturb the peace and unlawful assembly or rout or riot, resulting in potential new penalties for protest organizers. And these are bills particularly targeting funding protests. And there's 2 in Alabama, 1 in Indiana, 2 in Nevada, and 1 in Ohio. And I think that's particularly disturbing because it's going after activists, not only in the streets for what actions they choose or don't choose to take, but going after the people that financially support them.
Well, yeah, because they've seen how successful you can be at generating funds online over the last several years. For fuck's sake, GoFundMe is like our #1 healthcare provider.
Mm-hmm.
You know, do you not think that like all of the ancillary activism campaigns that have been generated as a result of things like that don't come into play when they factor legislation like this? I mean, it's every aspect of making free assembly possible, making free speech possible, making activism possible. It's up for grabs. And this is going to coincide with all sorts of domestic terror legislation. Misty, you're gonna have to tip your mic just your way a little bit, maybe. Yeah. Thank you. Wow, that's better.
Yeah.
That's better.
Sorry, I don't know why it's being fucking weird tonight.
Because you have an omnidirectional Yeti.
Yeah. I don't know what that means, but okay.
Yeah.
It was a gift. I don't know anything about this stuff, you guys.
So we're not putting this out as like a formal call to action on the website or anything. But if you are in one of these states that has these anti-protest legislations coming through,
oh, you better fucking get out and protest.
Yeah, you better reach out to lawmakers. You better go and make noise in your streets about this, because this is absolutely insane that they're allowed to go to this degree. And if you read through some of the other ones, it literally turns like the most banal things into terrorism offenses. Like you can't even, in the state of Ohio, they're trying to criminalize just being an anti-pipeline or environmental activist. They're trying to call you an eco-terrorist now. And it's something they've been walking to for a generation.
Yeah, they've been slow walking us into this shit for a long ass time. This is what we've been screaming about for years. And it'd be cool if people would start paying attention to it. They've been chipping away at the First Amendment for a very long time. And without the First Amendment, I don't know how you expect to accomplish literally anything else. I don't know how you expect to do that. If you cannot actually have conversations and disseminate like legitimate information about whatever cause it is that you hold dear in your heart, I don't know how you think you're going to get Medicare for all or college education or anything, Green New Deal, whatever the fuck you want. Good luck getting it without the First Amendment. And they have been systematically destroying it.
Fucking the people in Congress pushing that garbage legislation can't even say a word about the largest gasoline spill in recorded U.S. history in a wetland because it's in a red state or a red county or something like that.
Well, and they're also talking about
it's a Coke Industries own company. The Colonial Pipeline is a Coke Industries company. Where are the cause celebrities on this? Can you not talk about it because Snoop Dogg is in business with Americans for Prosperity and the Koch brothers now, so they can push weed legislation? Does that have anything to do with leaving the Koch brothers out of your concern for the environment on this one? I don't know.
It is really weird that we can't get anybody to talk about it. That's really weird.
Largest recorded pipeline spill in U.S. history. If they actually come out and announce the numbers, because they've had to re-announce the numbers a couple
again.
Gasoline under the water table, according to the mayor.
It's fine, guys.
God damn it. Yeah.
Nothing to worry about.
Yeah. It's fine. Everything's fine. Quit wearing. It's only a 40-plus-year-old pipe that only gets checked once. Like parts of it, bits of it get checked once every 5 years. It's totally fine. Just chill out. This will be no big deal. Oh, it's so annoying. It's so
we'll
annoying.
Replace it after it explodes. Shut up, peasant.
Yeah.
Patient peasants die hungry. That's my new favorite motto.
And this is like Bobby says it every time I talk to him, which I love that he repeats it because I think repetition is key sometimes. But it really is, even if it wasn't under the water table, even if it wasn't like a direct threat now to like, some shit, the fact that they are allowed to or to operate in this manner, Colonial Pipeline, is a real problem. And it really speaks to the fact that regulation for those kinds of things right now are not where they need to be. And these pipelines, unfortunately, aren't going anywhere right now. They're just not. Until we figure out another way to operate, they're going to be here. And so it's, I think we should probably have some better regulations where we have people out there actually checking them every once in a while and replacing the pipes that are older than I am. And making sure that everything's operational instead of just waiting until like 1.2 million gallons plus are seeping into the ground and who knows what kind of damage it's doing, and they can't even get us accurate information about what's happening. And it's a joke. It's a joke. There should be better regulations on this. I mean, especially these like Steve calls them cause celebrities. This is like the thing you claim to care about. If you care about like DAPL, why are you not talking about Colonial Pipeline? Because this is very much interconnected and it's just equally as important. And it would be cool if we could get people to actually talk about it. It's a huge story.
Do you think you're missing out on woke points because Native Americans aren't involved? Mark Ruffalo, is that it?
It's very cynical, but hard to get anyone in the pipeline fight to even recognize issues like property rights issues that happen on the Bundy Ranch. Like, as crazy as that situation is, like,
we can't even get the FBI to the Epstein Ranch, so I don't know. I mean,
that's fair.
A lot of shit going on.
I don't even know how to follow that one up.
I don't either. I'm so tired right now, you guys. Honestly. Oh, good Lord.
We got
Eric, you were getting props in the Rock Fan chat for the organizing work you're doing in Chicago.
Oh, I am.
Yeah.
God, it must be that I'm such an insecure person. I always feel like I've come up short. Well, it's nice to hear that people are thinking that. But
you're really just in the right crowd.
That's
almost every one of our groups, including us here, started out as one person with a poster, really. Like that's how Denver formed, as Kendra literally just putting up a Facebook event and saying, "Hey, I'm starting this. Please come join me." And then almost 2 years later, she gets a regular crowd out with her. The same thing with Boston, and they get almost 15 to 40 people turning up on a regular basis.
Yeah, I mean, it has been interesting. I didn't realize I could connect so easily with people all over the world. I'm now in touch with people in like Argentina, and there's the group in Albert Muller's publication, Nachdenzeiten, in Germany, and I don't know. There's Mo in England. I guess if I reflect on it, maybe it is going well, but.
Well, and this you touched on something that's been so vital to the community the entire time, is that it is international.
It's human.
and no matter what type of person you are, there's somebody that you get along with, that you can connect with and vibe with in this community, because it's got a representation of the entire freaking planet. You're not just, you don't have to like pick from a limited pool of activists in your community. It's, you've got the entire world at your disposal, and people that are skilled in every available aspect of activism or organizing, or like there's somebody that whatever your organization is lacking, somebody's got that skill set that is like a click away or an email away, a phone call away, whatever. And it's incredibly empowering. It really is. And it's so easy to forget, and it's so important to remember.
And I think that it's also cool that you don't really see, I mean, I know there's some bickering between Assange groups occasionally, or Assange people for sure. Like we don't all like get along. I mean, like Steve said, we represent like the entire breadth possible of like the political spectrum of everything. But yeah, it is kind of cool. Like there isn't like a ton of infighting really. Even if you don't get along with somebody, you just don't talk to them. There's been a couple times that there's been some people who are weird.
It's interesting that I've received appreciation via Twitter messaging from Trump supporters who I think are clearly aware that I'm a bit of a prison abolitionist and not too into the fascist right. But you're right. Yeah, and this just throws me back to how you were saying it's international, but I keep going back to how Assange is not just an emblem of democracy or these political constructions. He is very much a human being, and he's very human. And the fact that a Trump supporter who clearly has issues, I think, with the ideas of Noam Chomsky or Norman Finkelstein, both of whom I really adore and admire, right, can appreciate me. That speaks to some like overarching, like very tangible thing that just is a common denominator for like, humans.
You'd be surprised how easy it is to have right wingers agree with prison abolitionism, because that's one of my big things, right? Like my whole goal existing is to eliminate prison slavery in the United States.
And Andrew is as far right as you can get. That's where he was going with that.
I'm not aware of the. Wait, are you being facetious? Or?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay,
but it's the idea about concentrated power, and most right wingers idolize Abraham Lincoln, right, as like the president that ended slavery and brought the country back together. So even on issues of prison abolitionism, if you frame them in historical context that makes sense to people, you can even get any political ideology to support prison abolitionism. It's just a matter of how you present it, I think, personally.
Maybe I just. I don't know. I just wouldn't expect appreciation from such people, but that is an actually very interesting way to put it. So what an antipathy for concentrated power. It carries from the left to the right, you're saying.
Well, and I mean, from the moment that we started this thing, and before that, really, the huge emphasis on the non-politicization of this case of Julian Assange's persecution. We like the first thing that you read about Action for Assange when you see any promotional material about us at all is the Action for Assange is a post-partisan organization. And I personally I don't think we get to have a conversation about politics or policy or any of that, or what ideology is, period, until we've got access to unspun primary source raw material that defines how our government is currently operating and what they do, like with our money and in our names. And so this issue in particular requires no team. You don't need to have a team to be here. You don't have to have the right color shirt, hat, haircut, what the fuck ever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't. Like, all that is something we can figure out after we secure some things like press freedom, maybe a little bit of agency, some self-determination. These are things that we need in order to make adult decisions about what to do with policy and politics and things like that. Yeah, am I making any sense? I don't know.
Yes, absolutely. Like, we can't address any kind of systems until we know how. We don't even know how things work now. Like, our government keeps us in the dark as much as humanly possible. They're trying to make it so that they can do that even more. So yeah, I mean, I think there's an Assange quote about that, about how you can't, move forward until you actually know what you're dealing with now. I'm horribly butchering that. But you get my drift. Like, it's what you're 100% making sense. That's what we need. We need reality.
The worst answer I gave on Tucker was about the like political slants. I should have talked about post-partisanism. That was I rewatched the interview like a million times. It's terrible. It's like my worst moment. Do we want to do the David McBride? I think that's the only one we have left is the David McBride piece.
Man, I totally couldn't understand Lubers when he was doing the McBride update last night. There's an interview that's getting posted. I don't know if it's up yet or not. Maybe I would check Anonymous Worldwide, maybe the Anonymous Bites Back YouTube channel. But Mark Lubers got to sit back down with David McBride yesterday. He called me about 10 minutes before he was interviewing him again and was like, "Hey, get ready." Like, "Hey, hanging out with my kids gonna need a little bit more notice than that. Thanks."
That's awesome though.
But yeah, so there's been monumental movement around David McBride's case. I don't know what you have prepared, Andre, but I can probably riff off of that based on what I've been hearing.
This is just an interview that he gave following the April 11th protests. If you want to give like a case update, that would be cool.
Yeah, I can definitely do that.
Yeah, we'll get to this part second because it mainly focuses on his answers surrounding press freedom and Julian.
Everybody should go support David McBride.
If you're watching, hit me up on Discord or Wire or something. Put that.
We'll just jump in.
Right. Yeah, or you can jump in. I'll throw you.
Yeah. That would work too.
For what, the last 15 minutes? We have a hard out in 26 and a half minutes.
Okay, good. Because I'm honestly so tired, you guys.
Yeah, I got 3 hours of sleep. I got to sleep tonight.
I'm wiped out today.
Unless you don't want
I had a really bad headache yesterday, and it always gives me, I call it a headache hangover. It's terrible. Plus, I've been high all day. Always makes me tired.
Yeah, the boss left some dabs at the shop for me. So that was fun.
That's a good boss.
It is.
That is a good boss.
I love my boss.
I got to get high with my friends on Slow News Day. It was a good time.
I picked up something called L-theanine, I think, or L-theanine from my holistic doctor's office. I have not used drugs in a long time. And the L-theanine, I actually didn't even realize it was 420. Interesting that I started using it today. But it does remind me of being on pot.
So
I don't advocate drugs, but I do cannabis.
In the spirit of 420 and combating coronavirus, we've talked about this a couple times. I just want to pull it up again, just because it's so important and should be shared like crazy today. This is a study from the University of Chicago that cannabinoids inhibit SARS-CoV-2 replication and promote the host's innate immune response. I'll drop the link to this study in chat for everybody, but literally the University of Chicago proved that marijuana beats the coronavirus basically at every possible point of entry into your body, through its replication process in a cell, through its entry into the cell, and boosts your immune system's response. So all we have to do is get everyone to smoke a bunch of marijuana, and we don't have to.
I feel invincible at this point.
I know. basically superheroes at this point.
Right.
But I'll drop that study in again for everyone because I just love talking.
Yeah,
about
that is super interesting. That's like legit. Like it is super
it.
interesting.
And it's real too. There's like a bajillion D departments at the University of Chicago that certified the study. It just touches me in like that.
I'm
warm,
not
fuzzy
surprised. Like weed does some pretty magical things. Let's be real. I mean, it's great for anxiety and PTSD and
Sleepy Josh
depression.
is in there posting sublime
Actually,
lyrics in the Element chat, and I can't keep a straight fucking face anymore.
What's
I
he posting?
apologize.
Wait, what's he posting?
Sublime lyrics.
Oh. Oh, that's funny
My
shit.
bad.
So
I
big
just-
shout out to
that's
Independent
hilarious,
Left News
man.
real quick, hanging out in the Rockfin chat.
What, dude?
Independent Left News. Independent
Oh.
Left News. They're hanging out in the Rockfin chat. saying hi.
Hey, they've been helping boost the colonial story. So big ups to them. Thank you.
Do you
Um,
want to do the McBride breakdown real quick, Steve?
well, Lubers is trying. He's either just he's awake because I'm getting him at, but I don't. It's not like I don't have anything prepared. I was gonna say I could riff off of something, but I'm trying to get either an abbreviated written version or Lubers into the show here. So.
Okay.
Either
Yeah.
way, but I mean, this a lot of the fallout with David McBride bringing forth these revelations about the Australian Army's involvement in war crimes in Afghanistan is that so many politicians within, or in that orbit have all been caught doing a bunch of really hectic shit. And like Australia's political class is really going through the ringer right now, and it's definitely worth a closer look a little bit further down the road. But a lot of it does kind of come from or stem from a little bit more awake and activated media because of the release of the Afghanistan files. So I mean, it's one of those things where Lubers will be in a couple of minutes to give us that update. So
Cool.
yeah, and then but we'll again, Eric, you're welcome to hang out for the last 20 minutes. I don't know what kind of time you got. I'd be, geez, you're probably awake now.
I'm good. I was just looking away. The regional organizer for the Midwest of Assange Defense had messaged me earlier. Apparently he's on. Mike Bergmeyer. I think he may still be on, but I was just looking away, not because I'm bored and need to leave, but because, yeah.
Hey, look,
No,
we
you're
have
fine.
full-on production meetings in the middle of a show.
Yeah.
It's all right.
It's constant, like constant something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're thoroughly entertaining, if not professional.
We're
No.
not at all any of those things.
Well, we're entertaining.
Thoroughly entertaining. You very much are.
I'm ridiculously entertaining, Missy.
You
I don't
are
know
very
who the fuck
entertaining,
you're talking
actually.
to. Jesus
That's true.
Christ, lady. I'll headbutt you right now.
So while we wait for Mark, do you want to run through this couple slides I have from this?
Dude, Steve just committed a violence on me. I need to speak to his manager. Who's his, Kendra? Where's Kendra?
You need an
Where's
adult.
Kendra? I need his manager.
Kendra's not my manager. Kendra's just my grown-up.
Oh, okay. Well, who's the okay? So is Sleepy your manager? Sleepy,
Hell no.
Glory Jones.
Glory, yeah, my kid's my manager.
Okay, Allie.
That's how that
Allie.
No,
It's got to be Allie then.
You two
No.
pick her like the odd couple, so there's that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
Like-
but there was just a violence committed against me, and I need a.
You can try bitching to Christine.
I don't think that's gonna work either, though.
I mean, you could try bitching to Kendra too. You could try bitching to Sleepy Josh. I mean, there's a number of people that you can attempt to complain to. You're welcome. You are welcome to fill out.
You're ruining my
You're
attempt at
welcome to fill out the
carrying.
comment card and put it in the suggestion box. And
We need a suggestion box. We need a suggestion box. That would be
some
funny.
good shit.
That would be really funny.
I got this ready though. We'll run through this until
All right, let's do it,
Mark
dude.
shows up. So this is, I put the link to this in chat for everyone. This is an interview that David McBride gave a Sydney criminal lawyers group. I I am appalled by what our country has become, said former AFD lawyer David McBride. I grew up in the shadow of World War II. I believed all that. And my disgust and anger to find that most of the people who make decisions in this country are really just charlatans in suits. McBride made these statements on 15 March during a speech he gave on the lawn of the Parliament House in Cambria before a group of Assange supporters gathered to mark the final leg of the Home Run for Julian tour, which wound its way through the southeast of the country. After serving 2 years in Afghanistan as an official military lawyer, he went to his superiors with concerns about the operations being run by the forces in the Central Asian country. But as his concerns were dismissed, he felt compelled to go to the press. McBride is facing up to 50 years imprisonment for exposing war crimes similar to those documented in the Baraister report. In his case is shrouded with secrecy. His lawyer Mark Davis has explained in running the case, the brief must be kept in a while running the case. The brief must be kept in a safe, while certain actions he makes are monitored. Sydney criminal lawyers spoke to David McBride about what Assange has achieved. His belief that no prosecution will come out of the Brenton investigation, and how he once wholeheartedly believed that the Australian government was doing what the Australian government was doing overseas must be right. But we have our wonderful friend Mark Levers with us here now.
All right, fellas, coming to the stage right now.
What up, Lewis?
I know this guy, and this is a guy I know. Okay. As opposed to all of you when I came in here. Okay.
This is the guy I know,
Well,
he
Mark.
says. I like that. I like that.
Hey, thanks guys for having me.
Yeah, I just didn't recognize.
All right, Lubers, you got 18 minutes.
Let's go. Ready,
Oh
set,
no,
go.
I have some short updates about McBride because I didn't publish that interview yet, but
Okay.
there is something that might be very significant, and that is that at the end of March, there was a court case in my own country, the Netherlands, and it was about a Dutch veteran who was in Eurosgun around the same time as McBride was, and he became a whistleblower in that sense, and he spoke about crimes they committed, and to be exact, they were driving in an armored truck through a civilian area. One of their commanders supposedly heard a few people talking on walkie-talkies, and immediately gave the order to fire at these buildings, right? And so they shot at these buildings, and then civilians came running out, or at least unarmed people, and they were told to shoot these people. So these soldiers shot these civilians, and later on, when they returned home, they were traumatized by that, because there was never any weapon seen by any of them. So there was a Dutch soldier who was a whistleblower on that, and so the Dutch army denied it at first and said, yeah, he is traumatized and probably made up part of the stories. This is some kind of like trauma-based dream kind of thing. But then another fellow soldier started saying, no, this is true. I was there too. And I was involved there too, and we shot at unarmed people. So the story McBride told about war crimes against civilians committed by the Australian army. Well, the Australian army was in Eurosgun at the exact same time as the Dutch army was, and it was these two countries that were there. And he pretty much got vindicated without knowing it on the other side of the world, right? And so I had this interview with him, and he didn't even know about it. And he said, like, yeah, this is significant for my case. And I would like you to send like these contact details to me so I can get in touch with them and bring them into this. So that is kind of an update.
Hell yeah.
And that might go wild because this is mainstream news in our country. I mean, this is in all the major magazines, all the major newspapers, and everyone's talking about it. So
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That it's actually getting talked about.
Yeah. Yeah, because the Australian government tried to silence him and said this is a lie. These are all lies, right? And you're making things up, and of course there were war crimes, and they had that Baraton report. I think that was that. They're starting to discredit that report now too, even though it was very it was done by very experienced people who knew actually what went on there. So, but now that it's being vindicated, and I think this might become like very big now. If it wasn't that already, but becomes much bigger now. So.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Thank
Great.
you. That's awesome.
And it next week, like same time as yesterday, or when did the? Because I do want to be on for the next one.
Now he wants to do every for him every Monday, but it's for us every Sunday, right?
So Sunday at like what time though? Because I'm an asshole and sometimes I book 3 shows on a Sunday.
He shows up for me at 10, and I am GMT +1. So he Los Angeles is 9 hours earlier than I am.
It was like 1 o'clock in the afternoon for me.
Yeah,
That's doable. That's doable. As long like again, really, I mean, if this is us having production, I told you, Eric.
Yeah.
Um,
We do this a lot.
But the only reason that we had 3 shows on Sunday is because we had to reschedule with Whitney, and Johnny. But cool. Did count me in.
Yeah. He asked about you last time too. I mean,
Yeah.
You had to.
No, I love that guy, man.
I love
do.
him.
So the first time we had him on, like just one of those people, like you could tell, right? What's the buddy needs a hug, you know, and like
He needed a hug.
occasionally just drop him a note to be like, "Hey, dude, you're on my mind. I hope you're doing okay."
Yeah.
He's one of those people.
Yes. He is one of those people. I adore him.
Well, I want to give a shout out to Mark. I know we probably mention this every time he's on, but Anonymous Fights Back was like one of the core things that got Action for Assange started in the first place. It was Mark years ago sent me a message and got an interview with me and Taylor together on Anonymous Fights Back, and that's what sparked all of this to form and be going 2 years later. So I just always want to say thank you for pulling us together and then being like a catalyst almost for getting all this started.
Well, for proof of concept too, man, because when we started this thing, we asked for people to start decentralized, autonomous Assange chapters for on the ground activism. And over the course of nearly 2 years, it's gone from none to like a dozen.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's
really cool.
I think 8 events that happen around the world every single week. There's 7 other events that happen on a bi-weekly basis, so every 2 weeks. And the only one that was happening was in the UK before all this started. And now we have
and DEPA and Assange Defense on the US now the last couple of months, especially have been organizing some really informative, like really need to take place panels and things of that nature. And then Kendra has been busting ass trying to get those done in Denver too.
Mm-hmm. And we have a whole bunch of new groups popping up. It's so fun to watch.
I would like to do what we did in LA last week with an in-person panel, just kind of on tour.
Yes.
Or have stuff like that. Bring a projector and be able to have someone like a Nils Melzer.
Like, can you imagine if we could rent a tour bus and like just drive around and like stop in and do teachings?
Sprinter van, man. Like
whatever.
I have a pickup truck and a mattress, bro. I'm good.
But we probably do got to start winding down, so that way, Josh.
Yeah.
So we'll start with you, Eric, if you could. Sorry. Please let us know where people can find you and where they can find your work.
Oh, yeah. There are a few places for the work. Actually, it's nice to hear Mark's voice. I have never heard it before. It's my work is 2 pieces or at anonymousworldwide.com, in German at nachdenzeiten.de, at laprogressive.com, my site, thoreframer.org. Really, those are the namely ones, I suppose. And I guess my Twitter is for framer.org. And my email, eharvey@thereframer.org. So I don't know if you want my phone number and social security address. That's
No, we'll say
Blood
that.
type.
Well, Lubers is here, so we'll have that now anyway.
Yeah, that's true. We already got that.
Oh, I should also mention the Argentinian Mexican kind of group. It's intermedia.press.
Yeah. Those guys are awesome.
And Spanish there. And I never quite know. They're co-headquartered in Mexico and Argentina, I believe. But I think I may be mistaken. But yeah. Those
Right on. Lubers got anything to pitch, promote?
Well, I pitched you guys to David McBride. I mean, he asked for other shows he could appear on, and I said, yeah, you have to go to these guys, right? I mean, and he was interested in it. So
I'll hit him up. I will.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
And
Wanted might be a good place for him to take a seat on too for an hour. That would be awesome.
I'm gonna talk to Reese.
Unwanted.
I'm gonna talk to Reese and see if we can't get him on Lee's show too.
I can pitch our site anonymousworldwide.com, and you can find Eric there too. I mean, he writes on there too. So.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome.
Jazz Andrew.
So my name is Andrew Smith. You can find me on Twitter at Andrew Zigmund, ZIGMUND. You can find us on Twitter at action_4Assange. And I just want to give a thank you to everyone that's donating to help make the billboards happen. In the coming weeks, we will be announcing our next big planned event date. But just thank you to everyone that's organizing. Thank you to Eric for being on the ground in Chicago. Thank you to all the other groups. We had Tulsa, Oklahoma. I've gotten emails after the Tucker interview from about 5 or 6 different people saying they're interested in starting up. So we may even have our very first Texas crew coming on board, which I think would be incredible. Just don't stop organizing. Just keep doing what you can with the time and money that we all have left, because it's at this point we may not have much left to rely on.
Very true. And I am Misty Winston. You can find me on Twitter at Sarcasm Stardust. I have another show with Jesse Zerwell called Facts on the Ground. Tomorrow is going to be so much fun. It's going to be the first ever episode of Bitch with Comrade Misty. I'm really excited to rant. That's gonna be
just you, or you with somebody?
No, like I'm just gonna have just whoever wants to come on. Like you said, was it only gonna be girls? No, just whoever the fuck wants to come on and bitch about stuff. I don't care who you are. I don't care if people know who you are. I don't care. Just come on and we'll bitch about stuff. People in the chat can bitch. We'll bitch about stuff that the chat's bitching about. Let's vent and get some stuff off our chests. I think it's good for us. So I'm really excited about that. Thanks everybody. Seriously, I know Andrew already said it, but the billboard thing is really super fucking amazing. It's up to $914 already. It's only been up for a few hours. And so that's amazing. We're going to be able to have our first billboard, at least I don't know how long it takes to get it put up, because I know that they're monthly. So we'll have to figure out when the next round, or I don't know how any of that works, you guys. So I'm flying by the seat of my pants here, but yeah, we're going to have a billboard up pretty soon, which is amazing. We're going to be planning some more stuff. So keep an eye out for that. And I think that's it. Oh, there's a lot of stuff coming up on Facts on the Ground this week. We have so many people we're talking to. So yeah, make sure you don't miss out on that, because I'm going to make a lot of people mad this week. It's going to be fun. Good times.
My name's Steve Boykin, and I host a show called Slow News Day with my better than your co-hosts Glory Jones and Ali Alexandra. We have a ton of cool stuff coming up as well. Eva Bartlett's coming back on the show. She'll be on this Sunday. Derek Bros will be on the following Monday. We're deep diving back. Missy, can you move your mic? I'm sorry, dude.
I'm just gonna mute. I don't know why I didn't.
We're deep diving back into the National Security Council report, or on artificial intelligence's final report. We'll be doing that Thursday. Tomorrow, I might be premiering a new show with Charlie Robinson, host of Macroaggressions, and Jimmy Jean, who is a radio guy here in Santa Cruz that I've never met. But he's got a show. He's got a show called The Microcosm on Revolution Radio. And Charlie pitched me the idea a month ago of having the three of us get together, streaming it on the Slow News Day Rockfin channel and on Revolution Radio. So we're going to give that a shot tomorrow night and see where that goes. Looking forward to it, man. Ton of great guests coming up outside of the incomparable Eva Bartlett and Derek Bros. What the hell is whooshing at me here? Okay, groovy. And then Ed, before you get out of here, Eric, I'll give you my contact info. We'll get out of here. Thanks everybody for being a part of this. Thanks Sleepy Josh on the ones and twos. Thanks to Mark Lubers for popping in and giving us the McBride update. Eric Harvey in Chicago. Misty Winston, Andrew Smith. I love you guys. Good luck to us all.